If you're a freelancer that wants to make $10K, $20K, or even $30,000 per month, the things that you need to be focusing on probably aren't the things that you think you need to be focusing on. Because you don't need more traffic, you don't need more leads, you don't need a more complicated funnel. That's not what's going to get you to that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per month level. Instead, you need to focus on something else that a lot of people don't think about, which is client relationships. Because client relationships and being able to stack clients and build your client roster when you are providing a paid service, that's how you start to make incredible money online as a freelancer. It's so much easier to keep a client than it is to go get a new one, right? If you've been doing this, if you've been going through that hustle of trying to figure out how do I get these leads? How do I get more traffic? How do I get more people in my funnel, more sales calls, get more people to agree to do what I want to do? It can be costly in both time and money, and getting people to actually say yes and to agree, and then the process of onboarding those clients to deliver your service is harder and more timely than just continuing to give a great service to the people that you already have. And then you can continue to bring in clients as you already are, but instead of going through that crazy feast and famine journey of bringing on a client and then you lose them and you got to get new ones, that idea of like, okay, this month I focused on getting clients, I brought new clients in, now I'm focused on getting them results, but I'm not focusing on client acquisition. And so you go up and down. Instead of having that, if you can make your clients happy where they never want to leave you and they want to stay with you forever as you're bringing in new clients, you just keep adding more and more and more. That client roster grows, your monthly income continues to grow. But you need to not only deliver results, but you need to be good at building client relationships so that they love you and cannot imagine working with somebody else. So today on the Laptop Empire Show, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. But before we dive into it, if you are interested in getting into this freelance game, you want to start making $1,000 to $2,000 per month, or maybe even 10, 20, 30, and you're not really sure where to start, check in the description, take a look at our Facebook Side Hustle course where we teach you how to manage Facebook ads, which is one of the hottest side hustles available right now. You can earn over $1,000 per client per month. All the information you want to know about it is in the description, so check out that link. But today I want to talk to you about client relationships, and actually I'm not going to talk to you about them anymore. I've brought Tanya Filer from our Facebook Side Hustle course. She's one of the experts in there. She's one of our coaches. She helps myself and Bobby answer all the questions for our students, provides valuable insight that she's gained from working with clients local to her and online, helping them get results through her Facebook ads agency. And so today she's going to walk you through what she feels are the essential steps to building great client relationships. That way you can deliver results. That way it is profitable for them and they want to keep paying you, but also so that they love working with you. So, time for me to get out of the way, but before I do, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you never miss an episode. We have new episodes every Tuesday, but if you don't hit subscribe and you don't hit that little bell notification, you aren't going to be notified when new videos, hit on YouTube. So, make sure you do that and enjoy hearing from Tanya.
Hi everybody, my name is Tanya Filer. I am a social media marketer. I do organic and paid social media and have been doing so for 8 years. I've worked with a broad range of clients, from local businesses to corporate clients to online coaches in the health, fitness and wellness space. And what I've discovered over the course of the last 8 years is the better the relationship with my client, the better the result, the longer term the client relationship is, which just makes for happier clients. Happier clients means happy me, which means more revenue for both businesses. So I've broken it down into 5 key points for maintaining good client relationship management. And the first key point that I'm going to talk about is deciding on objectives. When you first meet with your client, it's really, really important to understand where they are at in their business currently. If they're a brand new business and they want sales straight away, you're going to have to manage their expectations. It would be unfair to run campaigns for conversions and sales without having had brand awareness. So it's really key to understand where they are in their business. Is their objective realistic? So we set SMART goals. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. So think about if the goal is it SMART? Is it going to be realistic for them where they're at? So you need to think about, is it just going to be brand awareness? Are they looking for conversions or sales? Do they just want to position themselves as experts in their marketplace or in their industry? So make sure you have that objective set in stone. So that intention sets the pattern and the process immediately straight away. And that will develop trust as soon as you and your client understand where you both are. So understanding what your client's brand is another key and very important step in client relationship management. You need to know how they want their customers to see them. How do they want to be perceived when they're online? What is their brand message? Are they family focused? Are they focused on athletes? Do they want to have a competitive tone of voice, or do they want to appear to be friendly, educational? Understanding these areas of where your customer is will help with the copywriting messaging that goes with their campaigns. It would be really, really abysmal to suddenly start working with a client and not have these key areas. So understanding what the brand mission is, what the company stands for. If it's an individual, what are their values? What's their personality like? Who are the people that they're trying to reach? Making sure that the messaging and the copy and the imagery fits with both your client and their client base. So making sure that the whole thing is an amalgamation. And that essentially is brand. So understanding your client's brand is an essential step. So that's key step 2. Key step 3 in client relationship management is communication methods and boundaries. Again, communication within any relationship is going to be vital for making sure that everything works smoothly, that there's an element of trust, and that should anything go wrong or should there be an issue, the communication channels are always open. So what I do with my clients is immediately when working with them, I find out what their preferred method of communication is. So do they prefer to contact by email? Do they want phone calls, face-to-face meetings? Are they happy with WhatsApps, or do they want a Facebook Messenger? And the other way that we need to make sure that boundaries are in place is knowing what the working hours are. When are they likely to be contacting me? So I set my own boundaries, but the customer also has to set their boundaries. So are you allowed to contact them outside of business hours? Are they happy to answer calls from you on the weekend if there's a problem? Setting those boundaries in place and keeping the communication that way is it's just going to lead to a greater element of trust. You also need to understand and reassure your client throughout all processes. So making sure that they're happy. If they've got any queries, what is the process that you want them to carry out? One thing that is really, really important to me is making sure that my client doesn't touch anything within a campaign without my permission. Setting that boundary is probably going to be your most vital step. So make sure the client understands that should there be a problem within the campaign, they contact you first and then you deal with it. They're not to turn campaigns off or touch anything within it. So that's key step 3 for good client relationship management. It would sometimes all a client needs is just a simple email each week to say, this is where we're at. This is how the campaign is doing. This is what I need you to do moving forward. Even things such as, this image seems to be working really well with this campaign. Is it possible for you to collect or create more assets around that? And this moves us nicely into one of my favorite key areas is the next step, key step 4, which is collecting and obtaining and creating assets for your client. So step 4, the important assets, imagery, copy. You need to make sure that any imagery that you use within an ad belongs to the client. The client has complete, full copyright permission for anything that they send you, images, videos, blogs, anything that is going to be published on behalf of the client has to be theirs. Copyright infringement law is really, really important. I ask clients to send me images, videos, and blog posts via email. I then have specific folders within cloud-based software so I can access it from anywhere. So you could use Google Drive, you can use Dropbox, you can use OneDrive. The most important aspect is that your client knows how to use this particular folder-based software. It's got to be easy and manageable for them. I get a lot of clients send me images via WhatsApp, which is great because you can use WhatsApp web. So you can literally download the images straight from WhatsApp web into whichever software folders that you're using. And how I keep images and assets within my folders is I separate folders into, obviously, client name. Then within that, I'll have add images. Then I'll have add copy. Then add links. Then I will have organic images. And within the image files, I'll maybe separate that into stock images. Say, for example, it's a fitness-based industry. I will have customer images, client images. So client being my client, customer being their customers. So client images, customer images, generic images. So anything that's just a whole-based fitness. And then I'll have things like testimonials. So it's important that your customer or your client obtains testimonials if we want social proof. And we can make those into small graphics that can then be used within ads for social proof. Creating content for your client. You can use software like Canva. It's really, really simple. You've got video software like InShot. Adobe have some really great apps that you can use on the go for editing. But creating content for your client, it's very important that you get things signed off. Create your content, create an image or create a video, get your client to see it before you use it, because it's important that they are happy with not just your vision, but there could be something within the video or the imagery that they don't have permission to use, or it's just a really good idea to make sure that they're happy with the imagery before you use it on an ad. And then we've got things like blog posts. So they should be able to send you blog posts that they've done and that you can use as links, or you can pull information from to enhance your copy. When we're writing copy for ads or for generic organic content, I again file and document within separate folders. So it will give, again, I'm going to use the fitness industry here because it's what I'm familiar with and what I'm comfortable with. So I'll segment that into nutrition, health, exercise, customer, client, and then generic. And then it's just very, very easy for me to think I need an image of one of their customers so I can go to the relevant file and folder. It's there. I'm not wasting too much time. It's also really important to remember that everything you're creating for your client belongs to your client. It's a moral and ethical way to work, that the stuff that you're creating belongs to the client. Even the audiences that you're creating within ad sets, they should belong to your client. Some people operate without contracts. I like to have a very generic contract in place, which can be picked apart if they really wanted to, but having that peace of mind between me and my client, so they understand that the images and everything that they send to me, but also that I send back in their name, belongs to them essentially, because you're creating a bunch of assets for them, and these assets have added value for their business. It's like an add-on for your marketing services. And then that takes us into the very last key point for client-customer relationship, which is key point 5. Key point 5, reporting and feedback. The final step, and the one that your customer is going to be the most anxious, the most apprehensive, but also this is what they're paying you for. They're paying you for the results, for the feedback. So it's important to understand the metrics that your client will want. If you're running a brand awareness campaign, they're going to want to see how many page likes they've got, how many engagements they've got, how many people have been directed to website blogs, things like that. If you're running conversion ads, so it's traffic metrics, it's things like video views. So how many through plays have you managed to get for your budget? What metrics are important to your client based upon the goal that they have? So understand those metrics first before you start feeding back. What does the customer, what does your client want to know from you? What are they most focused on? Because sometimes we can get caught up in the excitement of all of the things that we can see going on, and we overwhelm the client with feedback, and they don't understand and they get no real value from what we're doing. So if we summarize exactly what we need to send them, we make it short and concise and in a language that they can understand, which again is so important, that you're not overwhelming your client with technical jargon. You're not overwhelming them with stuff that they don't need to be worried about. We're all very, very busy. Like, time is one of the resources that none of us have enough of. So make sure that you're reassuring your client with the right metrics at the right time, and you're feeding it back in a way that they can understand. I don't use any particular software to feed back analytics to my client, or I will take some screenshots that I feel are relevant. If a particular ad has had lots of client comments, they'll see from the ad, they'll be getting notifications that there's lots of comments going on. But if there's specifics, I'll screenshot those and send them over. But I put everything into an email, into the body of a normal email. I don't send spreadsheets with massive amount of data, because 9 times out of 10, the client will just not understand any of it. And in fact, will think that you're trying to blind them with data and you're just trying to hide behind the numbers. So if you break down key points and summarize what things mean and why they're important and relevant to the customer's goal, then that reassures them that you're doing your job, that their money isn't being wasted, and that the goal that they're trying to achieve is being measured and analysed at every step. Because when we have a goal, if we're not measuring it and we're not analysing it, then it's not going to be achievable. It's not going to be real, and it's probably going to be a waste of the client's time and budget. And you need to decide how you're going to deliver these metrics. So like I said, I send an email. You can send a spreadsheet if it's easier for you. There is software available for you to use, but it's quite expensive. And how often are you going to feed the data back to your client? So I send weekly emails to some of my clients, and the ones that I have like a bigger campaign, I'll jump on a 10 to 15 minute call with them to see if they've got any particular issues. Sometimes with conversions or lead ads, it's the sales follow-up that is going to be the problem. So quite often I'll be on a phone call with a client and I'll have to prompt them to keep phoning their leads, because that's the one thing that most people struggle with when they start Facebook ads. You can send them hundreds and hundreds of leads. If they're not following them up in the correct procedure, or there is no procedure in place, it's gonna have a massive effect on your value and your goals for the client. They're going to see that, yeah, all of these leads are coming in, but none of them have converted, because you have to, again, this should have gone at the beginning really, but it can go now with the analytics and reporting. If you are aware that your customer is not following up with leads, when you're feeding back information to them, you also need to be asking for feedback. So you can say, here's the leads that we've achieved for you this week. What's happening with the leads that we sent you last week? Is there anything that you need clarification on? What's the quality of the leads like? And get them to feedback what they're doing when you send them the leads. Because our job as marketers is to guide people to a specific place. If when they get there, everything's falling apart, that's not our job, but we can influence that. And if you're adding value to your client by saying, I've sent you these leads, but if you're not following up within a couple of minutes, 10, 15 minutes, you're leaving it 24 hours, then you're going to not have the right conversion numbers. Your ratio is going to be completely rubbish. There's statistics that show that following up 10 to 20 minutes after a lead comes in increases the chances of conversion by up to 70%. So feedback to your client that as soon as they get the lead, they need to call them straight away, and they need to call them and keep calling them and keep calling them until they tell them they're not interested anymore. And essentially that's it. The whole point with client relationship management is the understanding of where you are, how the process is happening, the results that are happening along the way, reassuring your client that everything they're sending to you and that you're sending back belongs to them, it's of value, and keeping the honesty and trust going. If you can see that a campaign is not working well, or you're not quite understanding the data and the metrics, be transparent with your client at every stage. It's better to admit that something is wrong or that you don't understand than to waste and waste and waste money and cause distrust, because that's your reputation as a business. And your client will tell other people if you're not doing a good job. So that's it in a nutshell, the 5 key points for client relationship management. Thank you very much. Good luck.
All right, that's it. What an incredible training. I'm so glad that Tanya came out here. This is really just a small taste of what you're getting inside of the Facebook Side Hustle course, because Tanya is one of the 3 Facebook ad experts and agency owners that we've hired to come into the group to provide mentorship and answer questions and help you get results alongside Bobby and I. So if you want to learn more about that course, please check it out in the description below. Then do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, let's leave some love for Tanya in the comments. If you've got any questions for her, drop them in the comments. She'll be sure, to answer them, answer your questions for you. I'll make sure she sees those comments. And we love having guests. We've had a lot of great response from that so far. So if you enjoyed her being on here, you ever want her to come back, let's make her feel the love. That way she'll come back and share more of her knowledge with us. Thank you so much for watching the Laptop Empire Show. We will see you next Tuesday.